Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of the Suga Ray Show. We're here with another wonderful episode with another esteemed guest, man. One of the most powerful people, one of the most action driven people, man. Speaker, author, coach. He wears so many hats, man. Father, husband, martial artist, brother Harold Reed Jr. I will read his bio and then we're going to get right talking to the good brother here. Harold S. Reed Jr., CPC, which is Certified Professional Coach. Harold Reed Jr. was born and raised in East Orange, New Jersey. He is a U.S. Air Force Desert Storm veteran and retired police officer. He is a dedicated husband and father of two boys. He began his own business and career as a motivational speaker after convincing his wife to start her own photography business. A true entrepreneur, in addition to his career as a speaker, Harold is a published author, a certified professional life coach, and a licensed realtor. Harold is quick to warn people that he is not your typical motivational speaker. I second, he is not. His messages are powerful and sometimes painfully honest. He believes that the solution to many of life's problems can be found within the individual. However, he stresses that if people will face their fears, have the courage to fight their fears, they will eventually find themselves free of those fears and headed towards success in their lives. My brother, my brother, my brother. Appreciate you,
What is
man.
good? What is
Thank you
good, man?
for this interview. You
Thank you
know,
for having
again, you are one of my favorite people. I love your approach to life. Again, as your bio says, it is painfully honest. But
me. Yeah,
as we all know, it is the truth that should set you free. It is not sugarcoating things. It is not pacifying people to make them feel good. It is
right.
about if you truly love people, you have to speak to them in a way that is going to push them, jolt them to make the necessary changes in their life. So appreciate you, man, and all the work that you've done, all the work that you will do, and all that you are as a human, as an individual, as a black man. That. How you doing today, brother?
Brother, first of all, thank you for having me. Um, I am just as much, if not more, of a fan of your work because you're not going to see my black ass on the street just in a tent in before the winter break. Nah, I can see myself doing it now. It's 70, 80 degrees. Now you wait till just before the winter go away when it's at its coldest and you say, I'm going to camp out on the street for a week. Man.
2 weeks, 2 weeks, 14 days, man.
Come on, brother. Nah, man, you a warrior, man.
With
You
no
a warrior.
food. With no food, man.
And you were fasting. I like what you had, like water. People gave you what you had, like
Yeah.
water.
Water, coconut water, juice, tea.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, and what's so beautiful about that is we're waging the same wars, but we're waging them on different fronts.
100%.
We need that level of activism to show people, listen, this is serious. This is what you got to be paying attention to.
Yep.
I wouldn't be doing this to myself if I wasn't that much in love with my community. I want you to see the pains I'm willing to go through to bring attention to the plight of the people in this community. So for that, I applaud you. And then you got somebody, I would say, relatively such as myself. Like I said, I'm not going out on that street. I'm not doing that. But at the same time, I'm still challenging people in my way.
Yes,
right?
you are.
And the way I challenge people is I'm not here to pat you on the behind. I'm not here to rub your belly and say, it's going to be okay, little baby. No. Because ain't nobody out there on the street you trying to make a deal with to get some money going to talk to you like that.
Oh, yep.
So, but the thing is, people don't want to be shook up.
Facts.
People don't want to be disturbed.
Yep.
People don't want to be uncomfortable. People don't want to be talked to a certain way.
Yep. People don't want a lot, which is why they don't have a lot, which is why a lot of people don't have a lot because they're not willing to do the things that people like yourself and I are willing to do for ourselves, our families, and our people. That's the difference.
This is my Jada Pinkett Smith face, that part.
Oh, appreciate you. Yo, brother, let's get right to it, man. I want to go back to early, right? I mean, I want to, without getting too emotional, like first, rest in peace to your dad. Um,
Thank you.
what led you on this path, right? Desert Storm vet, police officer, and then you retired before retirement age to pursue another life, right? So we can go back to what led you to being in the service and then becoming a police officer. How did you develop that tenacity and spirit to do that?
Well, what led me into joining the Air Force was that I was having so much fun at Rutgers that I really wasn't there for the reasons I was supposed to be there, and I reached a point where I realized that if I didn't make a change on my own, Rutgers would invite me to seek education elsewhere.
Wow.
So I made the decision myself to join the Air Force. I didn't want to be here's the goofy thinking of a 19-year-old, of an 18-year-old. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to be in college right now, but I don't want to be sitting in this classroom. But I know I don't just want some little job at the mall. Nothing against kids who got to work at the mall, but I wanted more for myself, right? At the same time, I didn't want to sit in the classroom. So I went through the whole enlistment process and didn't tell anybody, except for my girlfriend at the time. That's the only person I confided in with anything on that topic. And I got to the point where I was ready to sign the contracts, take the oath or whatever. And that's when I sat my dad down and I was basically like, yo, Pop, I'm not going back to school next semester. And the eyes went back in his head and I was like, nah.
Old school.
I was like, nah, man, I ain't getting nobody pregnant. Don't worry about that. He was like, oh, it ain't like, because that was a genuine concern. And he took a real sigh of relief when I said, nah, I ain't getting nobody pregnant. So he's like, all right, then what's the problem? Right. And then he was probably thinking I'm going to tell him I'm getting kicked out or whatever for goofing off. But what I said was, I'm tired of wasting my time and your money. I don't want to be here.
Powerful.
And when I hit him with that, I had his full attention. And the crazy thing is, I had practiced this conversation for like weeks. Right? I was rehearsing everything I was going to say. And when it was showtime and we having this conversation, I ran down everything that I had gone through, go to recruiter, took the test, took the physical, got the job, da-da-da-da-da. All I'm really doing is just letting you know what's about to happen. I'm not really asking you permission, And when it was over, my dad asked me a question that always let me know he had my back. And his question was, you sure? Right? And when I said, yeah, he was like, all right, let's go upstairs and tell your grandparents. So there was that. Then, so I'll go off in my train, whatever, come back home from training. 3 weeks after I come back home, go to find out I'm going to Saudi Arabia. So I'm in Saudi Arabia for about 3-4 months, come back home. And now I'm ready to go back to school because war will help you put things in proper
perspective. I can imagine.
When you literally look up in the sky and you see a Patriot missile take out a Scud, yeah. Classroom don't look so bad at this point. And here's the crazy thing. I said I didn't want to be in the classroom, right? And you think you join the military, you got to do some marching around, you got to go play in the woods.
No classroom.
You're sitting in the classroom, right? So in a sense, the Air Force was my college.
Powerful.
Air Force was about a good year, 2 years worth of college for me in terms of, all the training I went through. Because it wasn't just marching around the base or goofing around in the woods. It was sitting in the classroom, learning a variety of different things. But what's funny is I always tell people that I'm a 3-time college dropout, or at least I was. A 3-time college dropout. I dropped out the first time when I said I was partying so much, and I realized that I better take myself out the picture before Rutgers takes me out the picture. Because if Rutgers takes me out the picture, it's going to be a bitch if I decide to go back.
Absolutely.
I took myself out and everything was cool. I came back. I was on my little academic probation or whatever. But when I came back after Desert Storm, I decided I wanted to be a cop. And I didn't need a college degree to be a cop. So why am I here? Dropped out again. Then it took me about another 5-6 years from that point to actually get on the job. Those 5-6 years, those are some of the most life-defining years of my existence.
Wow.
I always say it was during that time. I was in my 20s, and I always tell people, especially young people, especially people in their 20s who are going through it. Anybody watching this video who's in their 20s, or you got kids that are in their 20s, tell your kids, or if you in your 20s, listen up. You're supposed to be going through whatever the hell you're going through in your 20s.
Absolutely.
I call the 20s your struggle years, because it's in those years that you define your grind.
Yes, sir.
Right? So for me, that's exactly what I was going through. I was doing, security jobs, top flight security, where I was armed with a flashlight. You know what I'm saying? And I felt what I call occupational rock bottom when I went to work one night and the supervisor said, okay, we need you to sit in this parking lot and guard that hole in that wall.
Wow.
Because it was a construction accident, wrecking ball hit the wrong part of the wall or whatever, put a big hole in the thing, and they needed somebody to sit there and make sure ain't nobody go in and loot the store in the middle of the night. But think about it. I'm not a dumb person. But I'm sitting here guarding a hole in a wall with a flashlight.
Top flight.
Yeah. Right? So at that point, I started to realize, okay, I'm not a dumb person, but I'm making dumb decisions.
Wow.
And and because of my dumb decisions, I'm producing dumb outcomes and dumb results. When you go to work and they tell you, okay, you got to go walk around this college campus and turn this key in these boxes that are scattered all around the campus, and it's like the middle of February, and they say, look out in the wood area for the skunks. If you get sprayed by the skunks, just when you come back, just drop your key in the box because we're not letting you back. What? Now, fortunately, that was one job I had with a security company. That was my last day at that security company.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, it took me 5 years or whatever. I finally got hired by the East Orange Police Department in 2000. And what's funny is this, because I said I was a 3-time college dropout, right? So I told you about the first 2 times. In 1999, I made the decision, I'm going back to school. If this cop thing ain't working out, I took the tests. I'm just waiting. Ain't nothing coming back. So new millennium is coming. I'm going to go back to school. I was doing very well for myself doing loss prevention at Old Navy. Just got myself a promotion, working in my own store as a lead agent or whatnot. They were sending me to Baltimore to train new agents in new stores. So I had a career starting to bubble at Old Navy. So I was like, let me go to school. I had it hooked up with, because Old Navy is owned by the Gap, and the Gap has tuition reimbursement. So I was really setting myself up to be a part of the Gap Incorporated in the corporate structure.
Yeah.
So I go to school, register for all my classes. First day of school, I go to classes, go get my list of books I got to buy for those classes for that day. And I get home, and there's a letter from the East Orange Police Department telling me I'm hired.
Wow. So that was it for school.
So that was the 3rd time that I
just like that.
Right.
Just like that.
So I was in East Orange for 2 years, and then through networking with some really solid people, I was able to get hired by the Woodbridge Police Department. And I was at the Woodbridge Police Department for about good 9.5 years, and I retired early as a result of an on-duty accident that I was in. That I obviously I walked away from the accident, no major injuries or anything like that, but there was an elderly woman in the vehicle that struck mine, and she didn't make it out the hospital. Now, it's funny that I'm telling this story because June has been recognized as PTSD Awareness Month. So what happened with me was and this was in October of 2007. So the day before New Year's Eve, 2007, I got pulled in off the road, and my lieutenant and my captain tell me that an elderly woman who was in the car that struck mine never made it out of the hospital. Because one, she was already old, and then whatever issues she already had were compounded by whatever injury she picked up in the accident. Long story short was, I was prepared in getting, how people always say, well, if you're going to be scared, then you shouldn't be on the job, da, da, da. It wasn't a matter of being scared. I prepared myself, firing a weapon, the potential of getting hurt or worse. I was prepared for all of that. The one thing I was never really prepared for, never crossed my mind, that somebody could be hurt and I'd be involved, and there's absolutely nothing I could do about it.
Wow.
Furthermore, what makes matter worse is, even though the good side is I wasn't charged criminally for the accident, but I was blamed for the accident. So spent a lot of time off the road. And the funny thing is, the time that I spent off the road, that I was still working inside, I wrote the initial manuscript for my second book, working inside. So that was a blessing in disguise in and of itself. And when I finally did get back on the road, I wasn't the same person anymore. I was reactive instead of proactive. I wasn't out there looking to make connections with the community. I'd get in my car, go somewhere, and just sit in one spot for a couple hours, then go sit somewhere else for a couple hours. I pull somebody over just so my voice could be heard on the radio, so I'm doing something, and then I let the person go with a warning. My mindset was, if they need me, they'll call me.
Powerful.
And I realized that this wasn't the person I wanted to be in this job.
So powerful.
And not to the extent that it was any major problems in my home, but I wasn't the same dude that I really knew I should have been or was supposed to be in the home. I was very much distant from my wife and, playing with the kids and whatnot. Well, actually, at that time, I just had the one, so I was more into my own head. And I realized that I needed to make some changes. So I talked to my union rep. My union rep hooked me up with a therapist, and she diagnosed me with PTSD and asked me if I wanted to retire. She asked me if I wanted to retire. She asked, do you want to be a cop? And the thing is, here's the thing about me. I am brutally honest with myself.
Yep. Yeah, you are.
I am painfully honest with myself. Two opposing things can be true at the same time. 100%. And this is the situation that I was in. I wanted to be a cop. I loved being a cop, but that whole experience, and there's a lot that I'm not saying because there were a lot of internal politics involved within the department, and things that almost affected my pension and how I provide for my family. There's a whole lot that I'm not saying. So there's a whole lot that was in my head at the time.
Of course.
And I was able to get past and get through all of that.
Powerful.
And it's funny, it was during my time as a Woodbridge police officer that I started my business. As you said in my bio, I was doing some reading. I had made a decision to put my PlayStation down and pick up some books. And one of the first books that I had picked up was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes, sir. One of the best.
Absolutely.
Without question.
Right? And I was coaching my wife, not knowing I was coaching my wife. Right?
That's how it normally works. That's how it normally starts.
Yeah. And so the advice that I gave her led her to starting her own photography business. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I can get this woman to listen to me, I can talk to
anybody. Yes, sir.
I can talk to anybody. So I was doing my due diligence and my research, and I had always followed people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, ever since I was like 18, 19 years old. So I found an organization called Toastmasters, and I've heard Les Brown speak at Toastmasters often. Toastmasters made Les Brown one of the world's top 5 speakers. So I was like, oh, if it's good enough for Les,
it's good enough for me.
Absolutely. And I started going to Toastmasters. My first speech, my first quote unquote professional speech, and there's a lesson going to be in this. my first professional speech wasn't for some Fortune 500 company. It wasn't at some big or small HBCU. It was at my grammar school, the place where I attended school from 4th through 8th grade. It just so happened that the woman who was principal there when I was there was still there, right? And so she had been there over 50 years. God bless Sister Patricia Hogan at Our Lady Helper Christian School at East Orange, New Jersey.
Nice.
I reached out to her and I explained to her that I was starting a new business, and I asked for the opportunity to be one of the speakers at the 8th grade graduation ceremony.
Nice.
And she was like, sure, no problem. The only thing I ask is that in your speech, you include the message through Christ, all things are possible. Easy, no brainer, right? So write my speech, rehearse my speech, perform my speech, standing ovation, killed it, right? The principal secretary hands me an envelope. I figure it's a thank you card, put it in my pocket, give her a hug, thank you, right? Go home, open up the envelope. It is $150 cash.
Yep, I remember you talked about that before. Yep.
Right. So in my mind, the numbers are rolling.
Yeah,
right?
they are.
I only spoke for like 20 minutes. So let's see, 150 times 20 times 3. That's $450 an hour.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right? Let's go.
So I figured if I could talk good, I could talk good, but if I want to move people with a message, I need to learn how to speak well. I went Toastmasters, got some very top-notch speaker training, and it was actually through one of my then mentors in Toastmasters who pushed me to write my first book.
Powerful. So let's stop right there, right? I want to get to that in a second. I want to go back real quick because one of the things that has intrigued me and inspired me the most about your journey as I've learned about you this last decade plus and watched you on social media is when you were a cop, you helped a lot of young people. There were a lot of young people that you mentioned who still today, when they see you, thank you for your assistance in different ways. Like, why was that important, especially during a time where there's a huge rift between community, police, particularly between Black people and police? What made you take a different approach as an officer?
Well, first of all, one of my reasons for wanting to become a cop was I figured if I got on the job, there's at least one jackass that ain't getting the job. Mm-hmm. That's one.
That's real.
2, I always wanted to be of service. I realized that as I was growing up, I served this country. Mm-hmm. Did this country necessarily deserve my service? That's a whole different talk show. That's a whole different talk show. But I'm not the same man I was when I was 18, 19 when I made that decision. But I'm proud of my service because I could talk whatever kind of crap I want to talk, good, bad, or indifferent about this country because I served this country. I earned the right to talk. It's not just so much my birthright. I earned the right because I put in the service to defend that right. That's one. Other thing is basically it was important to me that children see, particularly young Black and brown children, or young adults especially, see police officers the way I saw them when I was growing up. When I was growing up, parents would tell their kids, if you find yourself in trouble or you're lost, find a police officer. Because this is when police officers still walked the beat and weren't just patrolling in a squad car, right? Yeah. So it was find a cop, tell him your name, and tell him you're in trouble, and he will help you. That's how I was raised, right? And one of the things that disgusted me, and is not race specific, because I've had to get into some white people's behind and some Black people's behind and some brown people's behind when I'm sitting down trying to enjoy a burger, and this parent got these little badass kids, and they tell their kids, if you don't behave yourself, I'm going to get him to lock you up. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't like talking about cop stuff in the community and all this stuff because it's a pain in the butt a lot of times. But when I was on the job, things weren't as bad as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God things aren't as bad as they are now. They weren't as bad as they are now, And there are times I'd have to tell parents, listen, why would you tell your kid I'm going to lock them up?
Mm.
So now if your kid gets in trouble and you know where to be found and I'm there and I'm here to help them, they're going to see me and they're going to run because they're going to run away from me and into more trouble because you told them I'm going to be the one that locked them up.
Wow.
It is not my job to raise your child. It is not my job to discipline your child. Please do not do this uniform the disservice. Telling your child I'm the one that's going to lock them up because you can't properly discipline your child. And it's REED and my badge number is 478. If you want to complain about it, I'll take the complaint about that because the cops that raised me as a pup raised me. First of all, if you don't want to bother people, you don't want to be a pain in the butt. But at the same time, a good cop who has no complaints is not a good cop because a good cop who has no complaints isn't working.
Wow.
But at the same time, and you've experienced this, I'm sure, good seasoned cops don't want to be bothered with you.
Absolutely.
They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to take no. And you in New York, don't nobody want to take a picture with you. And now everybody want to be TikTok famous, so they doing these goofy dances and they walking by cops talking like they talking on the phone and talking all crazy and reckless and everything. Cops don't want to be. And then if you catch a cop on the bad day and then the cop go off, next thing you know, you TikTok famous and you talk about.
Absolutely. Nah, absolutely.
Cops don't want to be bothered, right?
Absolutely.
And Grant, I always said this about cops, and this is what kept me in line, and this is how I at least called myself mentoring younger cops that came up after me. I always said there's three kinds of cops, right? First kind of cop is the Cape Crusader.
Mm-hmm.
Cape Crusader want to be Chuck Norris. The Cape Crusader want to kick everybody's ass. The Cape Crusader want to go out and lock up half the planet. Everybody's a shitter. Everybody's everybody's.
There was a cop in Queensbridge we call RoboCop because he was just like that.
Every hood got a police department with a RoboCop. My department had them. Both of my departments had cops that people would call RoboCop. Right? Yeah. Hell, I was called RoboCop, but I was called RoboCop not because I was like, messing with people. It's just that I had a straightforward demeanor.
Yeah, you do.
Right? When I'm dealing with people, I'm dealing with them a certain way. I'm not yo, and then I'm not talking like I'm in Beverly Hills either. I'm just straightforward.
Yep.
I got a lot of complaints because I wouldn't sit there and listen to people's tale of woe. I'd be like, there's an old TV show called Dragnet where the woman tried to tell the cop everything in the planet, and the cop would be like, just the facts, man, just the facts. And that's how I was, But when I was in Woodbridge, and this is where you see like a lot of the pictures and stuff that I posted of the young people that I worked with or what have you. When I was in Woodbridge, at the time, there were only 5 black cops.
Oh, wow.
Out of a department of over 200. And to this day, there are still no black women employed as police officers by the Woodbridge Police Department.
Damn.
Right? But we are very well represented by the Latino community. So God bless them. But what happened with me was, like I said, it was 5 black cops. And Woodbridge Township has 3 high schools. Mm-hmm. And I made a conscious decision that when I would work my off-duty jobs, one of those assignments would definitely be Woodbridge High School. Mm-hmm. Because Woodbridge High School had the highest concentration of black and brown students in the whole overall township. And I wanted those black and brown students to see one black cop that they could come to, that they could talk to, that would have their back, that would listen to them, that would talk to them, speak with them, rather than bark at them.
Big. Super important.
I had a situation one night where I got a call on the radio where some county detectives, some county narcotics detectives had a car of teens pulled over, and they were asking for local backup. I was nearby, so I went to go back them up. Turns out I knew one of the kids from the high school, and the kid knew me, right? Now, there's drugs in the car. How do we know that there's drugs in the car? Because these goofballs did a hand-to-hand in front of a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, wow.
Where these two cops had just happened to stop leak, and the other one could get some coffee, and these knuckleheads do a hand-to-hand right in front of the cops.
Crazy.
Sitting in the damn car, right? So we know the stuff is in the car.
Yeah.
We got to wait for county to bring the dog and all this other stuff. So naturally, we're going to ask them, where's the stuff? We know it's in there. Where'd you hide it? Where is it? So I'm talking to the little brother, and I'm like, listen, man, they got you. They saw you.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the stuff? I don't know, Officer Reed. I don't know. I can't tell you. I ain't see nobody do nothing, Officer Reed. Okay, cool. Now, a couple minutes later, how can I put this delicately? Non-melanated detective comes up to this kid, talks to him like he's lower than the shit on the bottom of his shoe, calls this little boy everything but a child of God.
Damn.
And he tells that cop exactly where the stuff in the car is.
Wow.
So my next words to him were, you just had a learning moment in your life. And I want you to remember this, because a black cop spoke to you with dignity and respect.
Love.
And caring. With the intention of helping you. And you didn't listen. You clammed up. This white man come along, call you everything but a child of God. Ain't lay a hand on you, but told you all the wonderful things he had planned to do with you. And you opened up. And you ratted on everybody.
Wow.
I want you to remember that. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to help you remember it, because when your parents come to get you, I'm going to tell them.
Wow. Crazy.
And when the boy's father came, pulled the father to the side, I said, listen, before I put this uniform on, I'm a black man just like you.
Yeah, you are.
Now, I was out there with your son, and I talked to him. I didn't yell at him. I didn't swear at him. I talked to him. And I told him he needed to come clean with where the stuff was in the car. And he said, Officer Reed, I ain't know nothing. Swear up and down, north, south, east, and west. He ain't know nothing. Then one of my co-workers who doesn't share our hue had some choice words for your son. And your son let him know exactly where to find what the stuff was in the car. Now, I'm not going to talk about snitching and all this other stuff, because I was asking for the same information. But I think we need to have a conversation with your son about is how he treated a black cop that didn't treat him like he was dirt. And he responded to that treatment with disrespect. Yet when the white cop came along and the white cop was being a white cop, not many, not all of them are like that. I know some good dudes out there. Sounds cliche, but there's some really good dudes out there.
Absolutely.
Right? But you let this dude punk you. Your son let this dude punk him.
That's exactly what happened. He scared them.
As opposed to letting me help him. So in addition to the conversation about choosing better friends, you might want to have a conversation with him about that.
What kind of person he is, what kind of young man he is, what kind of heart he got.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, that's so powerful, and like I said, I've read, many stories that you posted, just about you helping people. And I want to just salute you for that, for not forgetting who you are just because you had a uniform on, right? Where too many times people do. So I want to go forward real quick. I know you said you wrote your manuscript for your or the outline or something for your second book while working. So let's go back to your first book. How did you know, and at what point in your career did you know that you were going to be an author and a writer?
Well, like I said, when I was in Toastmasters, getting my initial speaker training, all of my speeches had some type of motivational twist. In Toastmasters, there's a whole teaching curriculum where they give you different types of subject matter to where you can to what you're going to write your speech about. And every speech I wrote had like a motivational twist. And one of my mentors at the time, he was the only other black guy in the club. And he would always say, man, you should really put that stuff together and put out a book. And initially I was like, yeah. But at the same time, I'm an avid reader and I'm really coming into a new space, right? And what really put it all together is at the time I had a job where in which any given day I kiss my wife and kid goodbye, I could be kissing them goodbye.
Wow.
And I didn't want, the one thing I hated in the back of my mind was if something happened to me and people would be going to my boys saying, your father would have said, your father would have wanted you, your father would have said da 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 da, right? No, don't be telling my kids what you want them to do and flower it up. Yep. And your father would have, because I probably wouldn't have co-signed half the stuff.
Fact.
You know, so I had notes from books that I had been reading. I had my little blog at the time, and that I was very active in at the time, my little motivational blog. I was always putting something up on there every other day or whatever. And I started to compile all this stuff. And then the actual writing started out as a letter to my firstborn, right? Oh. I started including all this stuff into the letter. And if you have a copy of my first book or anybody that has my first book, there are no chapters in my first book. Every quote unquote chapter is actually a lesson.
Powerful.
Right. So in my mind, I was like, okay, if anything happens to me, my wife can give my boys a copy of this book.
Yep. And they can have a blueprint.
This is the man your father wants you to be. These are the specific lessons your father wants you to learn. And all of my books are in the personal development, self-help space. Yeah, because I'm very big on character.
Yeah,
I'm very big on character. So the overarching precepts of all of my books is that if you follow these guides, if you pay attention to these stories, if you learn these lessons, not only will you improve the quality of your life, you'll improve the quality of your character. And if you improve the quality of your character, right, everything else will fall into place. You know, first of all, Rihanna is a beautiful woman. I love looking at her. I'm not so much a fan of her voice. But she had, you know that song she got is the song she got called Shine Bright Like a Diamond.
That's one of my favorite songs. Absolutely.
But here's the problem. Diamonds don't shine. Diamonds reflect.
Reflect the light. Yep.
Right? For something to shine, the light has to come from within.
From within. Yes, sir. Talk about it.
So in order for us to be better people, you can't rely on the outside world.
Yep.
To make you happy.
Powerful. So I want to stay there real quick, right? I think it was your second book, Find a Way to Make a Way.
No, that's the first one.
Oh, that was the first one. So I remember that concept, right? It stuck with me since I met you and knew that you were writing, right? Because it's like people say, there's no way, I can't do this. I don't know how. I was like,
wait. Stop. You mean the second time you met me after the first time you met me and you didn't like me?
Yes. So yeah. So you know what's funny? So it wasn't even you, brother. It was at that moment, one of my best friends he was a merchant marine. He was home for 2 days on vacation, taking a break. Went out with, his brother and our other friends that got killed for something that had nothing to do with him. So the night of that award ceremony in 2010, Instead of going, the funeral was the same day, but instead of going to the funeral, I chose to come and receive the award. And I had every intention. I spoke to Kathleen, and she said that she would allow me to represent him because the award in my heart was a reflection of him. And so when other people spoke before me, I knew that I was one of the youngest people. I get it, you know. So I was, whoever it would have been, I would have been talking shit about because I'm also me, right?
It was the crazy thing was, one, I hadn't gotten that memo that Kathleen was allowing you to speak, and two, we were getting pushed for time. So what Kathleen told me was, don't let anybody else give a speech, right? And then you got your award, and for everybody, listen, I love telling this story, right?
Yeah.
I had never hosted or emceed an award ceremony before, so I was sitting there channeling my inner Steve Harvey like nobody's business. I was just doing my best Steve Harvey Showtime at the Apollo imitation that I could. And my man Ray had to get his award. He was like, brother, can I have a few words? And I was like, no.
Oh, just like that. Straight face. Like, no, I was like, what?
He said, what? I said, no. You now go sit.
Yep.
Take you want go. Thank you. Are you serious? All right. And here's the lesson. We were able to get together and build this friendship because, like, again, that was what, 12, 13 years ago.
2010,
right?
Yeah.
But this goes back to something we were talking about in the beginning. People don't want to hear the word no.
Yeah.
People think that because they asked and they asked nicely, that they should get what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Whether or not they deserve it, be damned. I asked, and I asked nicely. Give me an opportunity.
Yeah. Like, no.
No.
It's not the space for that right now. No.
See, I'm not in the business of, and I'm going to be very clear, so please listen to the watchers. Please listen to everything I say. Don't hear what pisses you off and then start tuning me out. Listen to everything I'm about to say. I'm not in the business of reaching back and reaching down and pulling somebody up. That's not what I do. That's not what I support. I am in the business of reaching back and reaching down and pulling up those who are scrambling to get up.
Facts.
See, if somebody's drowning, you go to lifeguard training, somebody's drowning, right? They'll tell you to knock that person out. If you got to save them. Because if you try to fight somebody that don't want to be saved,
they can kill you too. Two people, absolutely, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Right? So I'm a certified professional life coach. And the funny thing about the coaching industry is it's not regulated. So anybody and their mama who think they got a positive mental attitude can call themselves a life coach and start charging people money.
Yeah.
Now, how they do that, I don't know, but when I made the decision to expand my brand and venture into coaching, the same way I did when I decided I wanted to be a speaker, I started doing research. I got training. I got certified to do this. I learned how to do this.
Yeah.
Right? So at the same time, while defining my particular style, my particular brand of coaching, if you will, I take the word coach very seriously.
Yeah.
And I was on the football team in high school. Notice I didn't say I played football.
I was on the team.
I was on the team. My job was to keep the bench from spontaneously flying in the air every other Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? But coaches weren't like, hey guys, let's go run some laps. And then I want you to hit him very hard. No, coaches don't talk like that.
Not at all.
Catholic school. And these dudes, these Christian brothers with the collar and everything, they be nice and calm during the day. Get out on the field. You mother fathers, you better get your ass.
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
They got into your case.
Yeah.
Right? But my sophomore year through my senior year and my freshman year in college, the sport I excelled in was fencing. And while my primary coach wasn't all on the rah-rah, he was like the calm kind of, the calm, scary kind of scary. Right? He's the dude that will talk to you and make you feel bad without raising his voice. It's like when your parents would tell you, it's one thing they say they mad at you and they yelling, so you could tune that out to an extent. But I know how it is when I go to my son and I say, you know what, I can't even say I'm really mad at you. I'm just disappointed.
Yep. And that goes to an old African proverb that says, if you want to be heard, whisper.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Soft, firm, direct, and you can get the same results, if not more, out of the rah-rah yelling, trying to interfere.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes you got to get people's attention, and you got to jerk them. You got to snap them. And like I said in the beginning, some people don't want to be jerked. Some people don't want to be snapped. But guess what? What else is it going to take for you to realize you're not going in the direction that you want to be going?
Powerful. And so there, right, the reason I bought your book up, because I don't know if it was in your book or just something you said that I took to heart, and it has helped me so much. You said, instead of saying I can't afford it, ask myself, how can I afford it? And when I read you I said, I don't know if it was in your book or you posted it, but whenever I read that, it was like, wow. Yes, the limited thinking saying I can't afford it. You have no options. You're not even thinking about affording it anymore. But something
that's one of the first primary lessons I learned from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes, it is.
Money is a mindset.
Yes, it is.
Money is not this paper we carry around, and it's rare that I actually have bills on my person anymore. Right? Money is a concept. How you think about money is what matters. Hell, the first speech I did in front of a TV camera was someplace, I think in Staten Island, for Toastmasters. And the name of the speech was Money is an Idea. As a matter of fact, it's one of the chapters, one of the lessons in my first book. And what you're talking about, the example you're talking about, is where Robert Kiyosaki was speaking about the mindsets between the poor, the middle class, and the rich. The poor, I'd rather say the impoverished mindset.
That's exactly what it is.
The impoverished mindset is, this is where we've always been. This is where we are. This is where we gonna be. So why bother doing anything to move? This is it. Yep. This is where my grandmammy was. This is where my daddy was. This is where I'ma be. And this is where I'ma raise my kids to be. You know, we all have family members, and we know of family members who are 2-3 generations in the welfare system.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you turn 18, now you get to go apply for your own WIC card or whatever the case may be.
And there's a whole plan. There's a whole strategy. Families create strategies like that. Like you said, when you get 18, go ahead.
Exactly. You know, and so that's the impoverished mindset. This is where we are. This is where we're supposed to be, and it ain't gonna change. So, dude, you and I are not supposed to be sitting here in front of, you know, $1,000 computers with webcams and, you know, clothes on and everything. We're supposed to be, you know, in the hood somewhere, in the corner.
Yeah.
In the corner, on the corner, in the gutter somewhere. That's where they want us.
100%.
That's what we have to strive to do better for ourselves.
100%.
That's the key, right? So the middle class mindset is just that. I'm going to do better for myself, but I can't afford that stuff over there.
Yep.
I know I'm not there. I'm gonna get my ass up out of there. I'm not gonna be
still ceiling. We still create a ceiling.
Absolutely. I'm not gonna be poor. I'm not gonna be over here, but I can't afford that stuff over there, so I'm not even gonna bother with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford it.
Yep.
That's the middle class mindset. I'm gonna get what I can get, and what I really want over there, I know I can't afford it, so I'm not even gonna bother with it.
Yep.
Right. The wealthy mindset is, how can I get it?
Anything I want, I can have. Absolutely.
Anything I want, I can have.
Yep.
I might not get it today, but I'm gonna get it.
Damn right.
How can I? Right. So, what I write about in my book, and what I talk about, and what I coach, is your mindset. When you make a statement, you got to stand on that. Mm-hmm. Right? So when you make a statement that says, I can't afford it, what you've basically done is slam the face in the door of God. You slam the face in the door of blessings. You slam the face in the door of your opportunities by telling God, the universe, whatever you deem your higher power to be. You're going to tell all of this magnificent energy out there what you can't do. You close the door and all that power that's there to help you. You just close the door in the face of it. But when you ask the question, how can I afford it?
Yep.
What do I have to do to get it?
Get it, yes.
Who do I have to know?
Become. Who do I have to become?
Who do I have to know? Who do I have to become? What do I have to do? How much is it going to cost? How am I going to acquire it? What do I have to do to acquire it and still be able to look at myself in the mirror?
Yep.
What kind of man do I have to be in order to be the father my baby deserves?
Powerful.
Right?
100%.
See, successful people aren't successful because they have all the right answers. Successful people are successful because they ask the right questions, made the right mistakes, and learned from both.
Yes, sir.
See, one of the worst things we could tell our children, I'm going to shift gears for a quick second.
Yep.
One of the worst, because it's on my mind and I don't want to forget it. One of the worst things we could tell our children these days is go to school, get a good education so you get a good job. I don't tell that to my boys. I don't. I didn't tell that to any of the kids that I spoke to, that I mentored as they were young. And I tell their parents. Facts. And for those of you out there who are parents, if you're telling your kids, go to school, you're telling your nieces, your nephews, kids in your community, go to school, get a good education, you get a good job. Your intentions are pure. Don't get me wrong. Your intentions are pure, but the advice is flawed.
Absolutely.
Now, notwithstanding everything, those watching, everything you've had to do to be who and where you are in your life today, notwithstanding that, I'm talking about these babies. I'm talking about these young people whose futures are not written yet. See, we're all in the process of writing our presents and preparing or hopefully planning for our futures. But these babies don't know enough about themselves to begin writing their own futures for themselves. That's the part of being a parent, a role, a guide, a role model or a guide or a mentor to help them figure out how to write their own future. Right? So go to school? Absolutely. Get a good education? Totally. Learn how to become an owner.
An owner, yes. Ownership is everything.
Go to school, get a good education, and learn how. Because here's the thing: people there will always be people who don't want to do more. There will never be a shortage of people who want to do the bare minimum.
Facts.
There will never be a shortage of people who are satisfied being mediocre and average. There will never be. You ever hear anybody say it's lonely at the bottom? It's lonely at the top because it's crowded at the bottom.
Crowded at the bottom, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? So the worst thing you can call me is a minority. That's one thing, right?
Absolutely. I can't stand that term.
I take being called a minority the same way we would take being called a nigger.
Yep.
But at the same time, I am a minority. You're a minority.
Mm-hmm. In the other way.
Not because of our skin tone, not because of our ethnicity and nationality, but we're a minority in the sense that the true minority that exists on the planet Earth is successful people.
Yep. That's a fact.
Successful people are the truest minority on the face of the planet Earth, because the successful people who are the only people who are willing to do more than the next person.
100%. 100%.
I was just watching a video. Sorry to cut you off. I want to get this out. I was just watching a video where brothers was talking about Kobe Bryant and how, a lot of members of the Lakers always saw him as a ball hog. And they would talk to one of the coaches and be like, yo, man, talk to him and find out what's going on with him. He's got to learn how to be more of a team player, so on and so forth. And the brother said, he asked Kobe, why aren't you interacting more with the team, passing the ball more? And he said,
you ain't working hard.
They ain't working hard.
They ain't working hard. Absolutely.
They come to practice 10 minutes late, leave 15 minutes early. I'm here 2 hours before practice and 2 hours after practice, and I'm gonna throw the ball to them?
Nope.
Fuck them.
Absolutely.
Shaq said at Kobe's funeral, well, Kobe, there's no I in team. And he said Kobe's response was, there's an M-E in that motherfucker.
Motherfucking right.
Let me cursing on you.
No, it's all good. We here. This is who I am. They know our cuss. It's all good. It's all good. So real quick, we running out on time. We definitely got to bring you back for part 2.
Yeah.
Because it's hours. Give the viewers, give the listeners in 2 minutes or less some lasting words, some parting words.
Listen, the most important person that you have is you. Why you think when you get on the plane, first thing they tell you, if you're taking care of a child or elderly person or what have you, and the mask come down, put the mask on yourself first. Right? If you are you-less, you are useless. Take time for yourself. Take time to just praise yourself. Take time to celebrate yourself. Every day above the dirt and below the radar is a good day. And when you have challenges, guess what? Challenges make life sweet. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt. Don't get me wrong, right? But embrace your challenges.
Lean in.
Because if you didn't have challenges, what have you overcome? What have you succeeded at?
Yes.
What have you beaten? Yes. Instead of being beaten, what have you beaten? I just put up a post the other day from the actor Matthew McConaughey, and I'm going to paraphrase. He said, there's a reason why the devil is beating on you so hard. Yep. Thieves don't break into empty houses.
Facts.
So keep this in mind. I'm gonna leave you with this. It's never the people talking to you who talks you out of your dreams, goals, and aspirations. It is always the person talking in you who does.
Ooh, powerful, powerful, powerful. My brother. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. We definitely got to do another interview, man. I'm working on live studio audience. I definitely want to get you in the studio when that time is right, man. Definitely want to talk to you more. Thank you for all of your service, past, present, and the service that you will continue to do for yourself, for your family, man, for the world on a whole level, because the work that you do, it impacts so many people in so many ways, that sometimes may go beyond saying, right? They may not be able to tell you how you impacted them because, as you know, some seeds that you plant don't sprout years later. So thank you again. Yo, wow. This is your boy, LaShawn Suga Ray Marston, here at the Suga Ray Show. I hope you guys find true value in this interview. Brother HRJR, phenomenal speaker, writer, coach, and so much more, husband, father, and so much more, man. Find him on social media, reach out, purchase his books, man. See how you can book him to speak at your events, at your schools, at your churches, at your universities, and tap in. As always, here at the Suga Ray Show, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We all we got, but we all we need. Till next time. Peace.
Be good, brother.